It's Erica and Danette here again on Perry Hill Farms. Today I'm going to put together a traditional sauerkraut. I've only made it one other time. I'm just getting started in this fermenting thing. And if you've watched our videos, you've heard me say, you know, Doug and Stacy have taught us a lot. When we met them at the Keeper of the Old Ways conference down in Bluntstown. But I've really come to love, wasn't sure I'd like it, come to love it. So today we're going to do the traditional sauerkraut. But I'm going to add some carrots. You can add carrots to it and stuff. But this particular recipe comes with the package that I got, the mason jar fermenting kit that I got ordered to use to do some fermenting. We have an abundance of cucumbers every year, and so I want to try the pickled cucumbers or dill pickles that are fermented and see how they do, see if I like them. But anyway, the recipe book that I'm following is the one out of this box for the traditional, and I love it.
Where's my candy bags?
Grandson just come in looking for candy bags.
You don't need them.
So anyway, this is your traditional. I'm gonna add some carrots this time and see if I like them in it. But what I did the last time was I used celery seed. I love the flavor of celery. But this particular recipe, you know, you can use caraway, you can use dill for your spices. You want to use a pure salt when you're fermenting any kind of vegetable, because the iodine in the salt does not it doesn't do well in the fermenting. It interferes. So we got our pure salt from Redmond. And we're going to get started on chopping, Stuffy's here, chopping up our cabbage. The recipe calls for 1 head of cabbage, but I've got 2 here because we went through that first jar like crazy, so I'm going to do 2 jars. What I've done is I've cut the ends off. I've washed the outside real well and all the leaves. So you're going to take your head of cabbage and you're going to cut it in half down the center, down the core.
Watch your fingers.
Yes. Okay, and I didn't cut that very straight. And you cut your halves into quarters, it says. And I probably didn't do that very well. This is my bad shoulder, so it takes me a little bit. So,
Well, if you need me to cut some, I can cut some.
cut them into quarters. Okay, and then it says for you to take it and cut across the grain. And so what it means by cutting across the grain is you're going to cut where the grain is going this way, you want to cut across it. So across it. Is it across? Yes. So we're going to do thin slices. I'm just going to go right across. Yeah, I want to cook you some dinner tonight. We got stuff on the smoker. We got some mac and cheese for you boys that won't eat potato salad and
Coleslaw.
And
the cabbage.
And the well, this is not a coleslaw. One thing I didn't do, I was supposed to do, was remove the core, so I can come back and not include those pieces that was the core. And I've got a slot bucket right here. I'll just put that in there. And we'll just shred.
Here.
sometimes you get in a hurry. Ah! Sometimes. And so you just have to mix. But we'll remove the core. We'll shred the rest in there. But some of my family kind of stuck their nose up when they said fermented. Yuck! And when they first tasted it, some of them, they were like, "Ooh, I'm just not so sure about that fermented flavor." But then you let it sit, and it put it on your hot dog or whatever, hamburger, and they were like, "Wow, that makes a difference." And so now everybody's enjoying the fermenting. And it's so easy. The hardest part is waiting for it to ferment, the weeks that you have to let it sit, and also just gonna slice all these up real small. Make sure none of the core gets in there. I'll do it right on the next one and show you the proper way. Successes and failures, that's what we're about here, isn't it right, Erica?
Absolutely.
We don't claim to be perfect in any way or experts on everything. We've learned from other YouTubers and other people that we watch this stuff, and I give credit to all of those that have taught us what we know. We learn a lot from watching other homesteaders. And so okay, so what I was supposed to do was to remove the core, and that would be this part here that's in there. So I'm just going to come down, slice down and get that core out. If I see it anywhere else, cut it out. The good thing about having animals, right, Erica? Pigs and...
It's all recyclable, so the stuff that we don't eat, or the parts that we don't eat, we can give to the pigs, and it later becomes pork.
Absolutely, or the chickens, or the goats, they'll eat all of this. And so nothing tends to go to waste around here. So if you see any bad spots like that, I just toss them out. And it might not be a bad spot, but... So I've got a layer of, this will be the first head of cabbage. And I'm gonna go ahead, since I'm doing 2 full recipes, I'm going to get this head of cabbage done. The recipe calls for 1 head. So I got 2 heads of cabbage here, but I'm gonna go ahead and sprinkle here in just a minute my salt for this recipe. There's no core in there, so I cut across the grain there. Add it in there. There might be some core pieces right there. I'll take them out just in case. And so the recipe calls for it's a teaspoon of whatever seasoning you're going to use and a tablespoon of the salt. So I've got my pure real salt from Redmond Salt. And we'll take it and I'm going to sprinkle it. You want to come on in? Sprinkle it all over the cabbage. This first layer. Okay, and then I'm going to take the celery seed, and it's 1 teaspoon per recipe of that. And I'm just going to sprinkle it over. This is when you add your seasoning. Now, what you can start doing, I'm going to add the carrots I'm going to add. I'm going to go ahead and add them. I got some shredded carrots here that are just about frozen. So I'll add half of these here. what you do is you have your pounder that comes in your box, and you start pounding your cabbage. And what this does is it breaks down the leaf of the cabbage. And it, I need to put that on a harder ground. And you'll start seeing in just a little bit, the more you pound, you'll start seeing the leaf break down, and you'll start seeing water. It's not pounding too good in the middle there. We can move it around. We'll pound around the edge and we'll stir it. Now, if this is too much for you to do, what you can do is put a plate over it of some sort to weight it down and cover it and let it sit for a couple hours, and that salt will automatically start that breakdown of the cabbage if you're unable to do the pounding. Because the pounding, it takes a little bit. You'll pound it here in the bowl. And you just do this until you get all of it broken down. We'll stir it around, move it around. It'll start breaking down. You just do this until. So I'll be here pounding for a little while. I'll let you join me back in just a few minutes. So once it looks pretty much wilted, all the leaves, you'll add a little bit to your quart jar. Let me get a jar over. I don't want to spill any on the. And as I do this, each layer, I'm going to use this is a pickle packer, what's called. And you'll pack it down. It's going to really, really, really start producing in that jar some fluid. We're out a little bit at a time. You think all that's gonna go there, Erica?
No, I think you're gonna have space.
All that in here?
With the way that you pounding it, yeah. Daggum cabbage don't stand a chance against you.
Not against the pickle pounder. Have some better suggestions, for making it easier or whatever, feel free to comment down below. Like I said, we don't claim to be experts. We're just learning all this stuff as we go. So pretty, isn't it? now I have got this jar done, and I want you to look. I've added no fluid. I've just pounded this whole container of cabbage. And as you can see the fluid in there, and that's what you want. And what you want to do is, they say you could cut a leaf if you don't have any of these, I'm drawing a blank of what these are called.
Weights?
No, this is the little disc that you put on top, and then you have the pickle pebble. It's just a weighted piece of glass that weights the cabbage down so that it's submerged under the fluid. Because if any of that cabbage is exposed to air,
Liquid.
what'd I say? Fluid or liquid, whatever.
Fluid's what's in the car.
Yeah. If any of that cabbage is exposed to air, then that gives room for mold to grow, and you don't want any of that in here. You want good bacteria to form in here, because that's the good stuff for your gut. And so now that I have it filled, I pounded it and pressed it all the way to about the shoulder. This is a little bit more. I've got juice up to there. I'm gonna put my weighted, I'm gonna probably have to sit it over in here because it's gonna be a mess. I'm gonna press that down, and the juice is coming out, so that tells me that all of my cabbage is covered. All my cabbage is covered. I have a mess here. So I'm gonna press that down as far as it'll go. I want it to go a little bit further because I want to be able to put my little disc on. These have a little valve on them. Now if you don't have these, you put a regular lid on. Cut your leaf, cover it, make sure it's covered, the leaf is covered as well with the fluid. Put your regular lid on there, but you'll have to come back and burp it after a little while, and keep it burped, or the gases that form in it will definitely cause an issue, an explosion of some sort. But these little discs, they have a little valve there that lets that come out, and so we're going to put that on there, and we're going to screw our lid on. Wipe down my bottle. And normally what I do is I put the date on there, on the bottle, so that I know what day that I do it. You let it sit 4 to 5 weeks in a cool dark spot. So I take it over and put it in my closet over there with a shelf and let it sit in there. And I just check on it frequently to make sure it's doing all right. The last time I made it, I went in there and it had oozed, some of the fluids had oozed out. So this time I'm going to put it in something that when it oozes out, it won't ooze out all over my wooden shelf and all. But there's your first jar of this will be sauerkraut in about 4 weeks, I think, is when I did the last one. And all. It looks pretty, doesn't it? It'll change color and all of that, and that's what you want. You want it to break down and get those good probiotics growing in there, that good bacteria for your gut. So I'm going to move on to the next jar and get it going, and we'll get these in the closet. Okay, so now that I've got my 2 jars, those 2 heads of cabbage did 2 jars of sauerkraut. I wrote the date on them. I put them in this glass jar, or glass pan, just in case they decide to go, because it's going to form gases, and the cabbage will swell to some degree. It might even form a milky white sediment at the bottom of the jar. That's normal. That's normal. It's going to change. The color of the sauerkraut's going to change a little bit. All that's normal, healthy signs that your sauerkraut is fermenting like it's supposed to. So you put it in the dark spot. Put it. You can put it in your dark closet. It should be cool and dry. If your house is warm, it might just take 2 to 3 weeks. If it's cooler, you can allow a month for it to ferment. But I'll keep checking on it. When your kraut is ready and you open up the jar to taste it, your cabbage should be almost translucent when you try it. It's gonna have a yep. There it goes right there. There was that's what we have left.
See the difference?
Yep, that's what we have left in the first making of sauerkraut that I did.
The warmer it is, though, faster it speeds the process.
Absolutely. So we're gonna let this sit. I'll watch it. Might take 2 to 3 weeks. Might take 4 to 6. We'll watch it and see. I'll keep a close eye on it. And we'll let you know how it turns out. As always, a simple life is a much more enjoyable life. Thank you for joining us here on the farm today as we are fermenting, Erica and I and the guys. If you like our channel, if you like watching us fail and succeed, please hit that like and subscribe.
It's called life.
It is called life, isn't it, honey?
It's called life.
Thank you for joining us today and following us on our journey. We appreciate you so much. Again, stay tuned for the next video. God bless.